Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Allie. I'm an educator here at the Aquarium of the Pacific here in Long Beach, California. Welcome to our online academy. I'm so excited that you're here today because we are going to be talking all about animal healthcare. Actually, before we get started, right behind me is one of our live exhibits here at the aquarium. This is actually one of our tropical exhibits. It's about 350,000 gallons of water and just around 1,000 individuals. So there's lots going on in here. You can see they're all very excited, probably around feeding time or something for them because they're moving around quite a bit. But before we get started, I do want to let you know that if you do have any questions or any comments or anything you'd like to share with us, definitely do so. The number is right below me here. It is 562-286-1838. So if you do have any questions, my friend Talia is over at the computer taking all your questions. And then if you do want to email us, if you're not watching live, that would be great too. Just so we don't get a little confused with our text line, again, emailing if you are watching it afterwards. And that email is right below here as well. It's live@lbaop.org. And I have my friend Stacy controlling all of these awesome things behind me. So we're going to focus on just animal healthcare today and how we care for a variety of different animals here at the Aquarium of the Pacific. So first of all, I want to introduce you to a couple possibly new words. So here at the Aquarium of the Pacific, we have lots of different animals. We have things like fish and invertebrates, and we have marine mammals, and we also have birds. So we have broken our husbandry team, the animal care team, into 3 different sections. So our aquarists, those are going to be our staff that mainly work with our fish and invertebrates. Our mammalogists, any guesses what they work with? Yeah, you heard that word mammal in there, didn't you? Our mammalogists, they work with our marine mammals primarily, and our aviculturists, they work with our birds primarily. Now, we're really lucky here at the Aquarium of the Pacific that we get to kind of cross-train to help others take care of those animals as well. But again, those are the main specific duties of that position, either taking care of fish, invertebrates, mammals, or birds. So the first thing about animal healthcare is keeping our animals safe. So I want you to brainstorm, well, how in an aquarium setting would we keep our animals nice and healthy? So first of which is water quality. You can see just how awesome this water quality is behind us. That is a key factor in keeping our animals nice and safe. We have excellent equipment here to clean our waters. We are testing our waters every single day. Some of them get tested at least once a week. Marine mammals get tested every single day. And we have a lab here on site that goes ahead and tests our waters for a variety of things. But we do have different methods of filtration. Biological filtration, we have basically turning harmful bacteria into less harmful bacteria. We also have chemical filtration. We actually do have ozone here at the Aquarium of the Pacific that we can use to kind of decontaminate our waters and then take it back out again. And then we have our physical filtration as well, just taking those physical particles out of the water. So as you know, fish eat. When they eat, they poop, and of course they're dropping things. They're not the nicest eaters sometimes. Sometimes they just drop things all over. And again, it gets in the water, and we really want to make sure it's nice and safe for them. So first of all, that's one way of caring for our animals. Another thing is what we feed them. Of course, if you eat great food, you're more likely to be healthier. And that is because we do serve our animals restaurant quality seafood. Now, our seafood does come from the same kinds of suppliers. It is sustainable as well. And every morning we get here nice and early and separate the food for the animals. Now, not all animals eat the same thing, so we do cater it to each individual and cut it up into bite-sized pieces for them. But those are two main ways that we kind of make sure our animals are cared for and normal and healthy. Now, another way to make sure that they are behaving normal is to watch them. I know it sounds a little silly just to watch to see if they're healthy, but actually behavior can tell you a lot about an animal. So, for example, this bonnet shark right here, does everyone see that? It's like a little hammerhead. It only gets to around, I'd say around 4 feet or so. So not very big, but this bonnet head is what's called a ram ventilator. So that means that this shark will never stop swimming. It is always going to be continuously swimming, and that's because it needs it to breathe. So what it does is it swims with its mouth open, and it has water come in and push over its gills to extract that oxygen. No matter what time of day you come over to this exhibit, that shark, that fish, will be swimming. So if we came over to our exhibit and we noticed, you know what, that bonnet head isn't swimming right now, that would be something we could be concerned about just by looking at its behavior. We would definitely want to get our aquarist and our veterinarians in there to take a look, make sure that we do everything we can for that shark. Now, if it was another fish, like actually the majority of these fish, I'm going to pick this one right back here because he's not moving too much. This is our Queensland grouper. Now, our Queensland grouper, that one stays pretty much doesn't move for long periods of time. Now, this fish is an ambush predator, which means it kind of waits and sneaks up on its food and goes whoop and eats it real quick. So if this fish wasn't moving or was moving all the time, those would be certain things we would look out for. If it's not moving, well, that seems fine. We know that that is a typical behavior of that fish. And if it was swimming constantly, well, that would be a little alarming. So you can see how some behaviors might be a little bit different between species because they all don't act the same, but then also between individuals. Yes, fish do have their own personalities, and we do want to make sure that we definitely know, hey, this one's a little more lethargic or sleeps a little bit more during the day than this other one. We can just monitor how they are acting. Now, what happens if our animals do get sick? Well, we do have here at the Aquarium of the Pacific, the Molina Animal Care Center. So the Molina Animal Care Center is this awesome place I'm going to show you right behind me in a moment. It is this building, as you can see, that it kind of looks like a doctor's office. And that's because it is. It is a doctor's office, just not for people. It is for our animals. So this is our veterinarian office, our Molina Animal Care Center. If we notice that an animal maybe has a cut on its side, or maybe it bumped into something, or maybe we notice that its behavior is a little off, we can bring them to this Molina Animal Care Center. So that's why they go for the most part. If we see something wrong or if they need a checkup. So just like you and I, animals do get their checkups. Now it depends on how frequently. All of our animals will get checkups at least once a year. So they have that annual exam just like we do, making sure they're all nice and healthy. Now, during an annual exam, they can take their heart rate, they can take a blood sample and send that over to a lab and look at their blood. We can take scrapings from the scales on the side of a fish, making sure there's no parasites. We can even look at different animals' teeth. For example, our otters. Yes, we do have otter cleaning stations for their teeth. I kind of think of it almost as going to the dentist, but exclusively for our otters. We'll pull up a video of that here right in a second behind me, and I want you to take a look at it. Again, they do get their teeth brushed every single day, but we do have that that dental care at least once a year. Now, if an animal maybe say is older or prone to health problems, we can take them in more than that for more checkups. But again, that is for the most part, everyone gets once a year. Now, in this Molina Animal Care Center, we have our exam room, and this is actually with a hydraulic lift. So those really, really heavy, several pound animals, yeah, they can be lifted on this as well. So this is that hydraulic lift that can help lift some of our heavier animals. We also, in our exam room, have an x-ray machine. So if our animals were to break something, or if they were, oh, here we go, perfect. You can see all of this here, and it's actually digital, so it's a lot quicker. So you can see, or maybe if they swallow something. Yes, it does happen. I know animals sometimes do maybe eat something or put something in their mouth that's not supposed to be there. Then we can actually take an x-ray of this. So this looks like some sort of bird, possibly a penguin. Yeah, I'm getting some head nods here. So this looks like a penguin x-ray. So we can actually look at their feet, look at their bone structure, make sure everything looks normal. Oh, there you can see. Doing this process is not maybe the easiest, which is another reason why we have digital x-rays. And that's because you can imagine telling a penguin, hey, sit there for me and take a deep breath for 30 seconds. It doesn't really work as well as it does with people. So a lot quicker and a lot more efficient that we can look just inside of it. So if there was something that maybe our penguin swallowed, they're very curious, they love shiny things, then we could go in there and remove it. Now, the main types of people that you will find in our Molina Animal Care Center, other than our husbandry staff, the ones that work with them every single day, would be the veterinarian and our veterinarian technicians, or also called vet techs. Now, vet techs are kind of just you can think of them as a nurse for animals. And of course, our veterinarian is our doctor. So we do have both on staff. I do want to point that out before we go on. There is actually our doctor looking at different things under a microscope to check out some of our animals here. Now, in addition to those items that I mentioned at our Molina Animal Care Center, we also have a pharmacy. So just like maybe you are on or I am on medications that maybe I need to take sometimes throughout the year or every single day, we have a pharmacy here at the aquarium for those animals. Believe it or not, yeah, we can give animals medicine. Some animals, it's a little easy to give some medicine to them because we can just put the little pill into the fish and not tell them and toss it into their mouth. Now that works for some animals. That works for things like seals or sea lions or some of our bigger fish that just kind of whoop, take that fish all in at once. However, it doesn't work for some other animals quite the same. For example, our sea otters. Now, our sea otters, they love to chew their food, whereas some other animals, again, don't chew their food. Sea otters, if they were to chew their food and there was a pill in it, they would just look at you, spit it out and say, what is that? I don't know what that is. And then they wouldn't get their medicine if they were to take that. So we have another method for administering that medicine. Who here likes smoothies? I like smoothies. Well, our otters take a smoothie every single day. But it's not a smoothie I think I would want. It's made out of clam. It's a clam smoothie. And all of their multivitamins or anything else they might need can be actually just crushed up and put in that smoothie. And they don't even know that it's there. And they are trained to take that smoothie every single day. So that's another way we can administer some medications. But sometimes we need to submerge the whole animal in a certain medication. So we can actually take them off exhibit and we can put them in an isolated tank or exhibit or bucket, and we can add medicine directly to the water. Sometimes if you have a chance to come on a behind the scenes tour at the Aquarium of the Pacific, there might be a couple, say, quarantine areas that might look, the water looks a little bit like Gatorade. That's what I've noticed. And that is, of course, just that medicine in the water, making sure our animals are nice and healthy. So, of course, yes, there's the pharmacy. We do have a surgical suite. So for any surgeries we need to do at our Molina Animal Care Center, we do have a surgical suite. And of course, after surgery, which sometimes can take a lot out of you, we want to make sure that our animals are nice and recovered. And that's where our recovery room comes in. So after surgery here, we can take them there to rest. Now I want to point out this ventilator right here. So some of our animals, not all, but some do breathe air. And so we do have ventilators, especially for certain animals. They don't quite breathe the same as us all the time. So actually we can bring in guests to come, different doctors from around the world who specialize in individuals. Which is another really cool thing. And the last thing I want to point out in here are these two boxes. Do those boxes look familiar? They are incubators. Now you might be thinking, well, what do you need to incubate? I don't see water in there. You don't have to incubate a sea lion. Those are for eggs. Those are for birds. We have a variety of birds here at the Aquarium of the Pacific, and we do breed some of those species. So if they do lay an egg, we sometimes, depending on the species, they can raise that baby on their own, or again, depending on the species, maybe we can take it to look after it a little bit more. Or sometimes they need feeding all the time. That involves a lot of work. And if we have them in a different area where it's nice and warm for them, we can actually get their food to them a lot quicker. Alrighty, so I do want to take some time to talk a little bit about what surgeries would we do here at the Aquarium of the Pacific. Well, what kind of animal would get a surgery? A fish? Do fish get surgery? That's a little complicated. Yes, yes, they do. So depending on, of course, the diagnosis from our doctor, we can give fish surgery. Now, I want you to think for a second, what would be different from surgeries between, say, us, people, and, say, a fish? Well, if I were to get surgery right now, most likely I would take in some anesthesia and fall asleep and breathe air. Well, oh, perfect, just like this. So this is one of our southern sea otters, and that is pretty much what I would look like if I were to get surgery, with that right over your face. And then this tube, again, connects to that oxygen to make sure that our otter is breathing the whole time. Now, we do give anesthesia to a variety of our animals, and I want you to think about why. Why would we give anesthesia to our animals if it's just a checkup? Well, that can actually stress some animals out, and so for their safety and their comfort, we just want to make sure that they are nice and relaxed. Again, it's not hurting them at all, but we can put this on so they're nice and asleep while we can check out and really thoroughly look at their bodies. Some animals also might be a little aggressive compared to others, and we want to make sure that our doctors and our staff are safe, and that could be another reason we could put them under. But this wouldn't work for all of our animals, would it? Say if I was to give a surgery on a shark, or any other fish for that matter, this is where this happens. This is a little bit different than that sea otter. So we can actually take a fish and isolate it. in a bucket of water. Did you see that powder being sprinkled in? Yeah, well, that powder is fish anesthesia. I know, it's pretty cool. We can put the fish to sleep in the water and then take it out of the water to perform the surgery, like you can see Dr. Adams doing on this eel right here. Now, hold on a second. If a fish is out of water, how is it breathing? That's another thing we do need to think about. That's a little bit different from, say, our cats or dogs. So how it works is actually really cool. Once that fish goes to sleep in the water, we can take it out. So again, here's our eel. And our eel is kind of just a little tired here. We can put it on this surgical bed. And just a moment ago, you might have seen a tiny little tube. Looks like a tiny little hose going right into our eel's mouth. Looks like they're sucking on a straw. They're not. It's actually water being taken from a bucket and being pushed into their mouth and over their gills. So even while they are out of water, their gills need to be wet to breathe. And that ensures that their gills are wet. And that water, again, has that powdered anesthesia in it. So they are, again, nice and sleepy. And then we can put them in some seawater after surgery is done. We can put them in a nice, clean seawater without any anesthesia. And they will slowly start to wake back up. Now, again, we won't put them back on exhibit right away. That could stress them out. So will have them probably behind the scenes for a while, or they might be on a certain medication to help them as well. So those are just some of the procedures we might do for an animal, but what kind of things would an animal need surgery for? Well, it can be for a variety of things we mentioned, but for example, one of my favorite animals is a tropical species called a cow-nose ray. A cow-nose ray is a small stingray, very, very cute, very energetic. They're moving around a lot, and when you move around a lot, say like on a playground, you might bump yourself up every once in a while. So this individual happened to get a cut on one of its flippers. Or on one of its fins, I should say. I'm sorry about that. One of its fins. And so, here are our cow-nose rays. You can see they're really energetic. So they really depend on these fins for movement. So we can notice, hey, you know what? There's a pretty big cut there. Let's take a look at that. So we pulled a cow-nose ray out of our tropical exhibit and took it to our Molina Animal Care Center. And we were actually able, our staff was able to stitch or suture up that cut, and they were able to make a full recovery. So it could be something simple like that they bang into something and they might get a scratch on them, just like, happens to us. And we can stitch that up and they can go on their merry way. Oh, look at these cow-nose rays. They're very excited. Feeding time is very exciting, and that's what's happening right here. And another thing that might happen for an animal that is pretty common are parasites or fungus, things that might grow on them. Again, we do have top quality care here for our animals, but sometimes they just get something that maybe grows on them. So when that is the case, we can take them in and do procedures as well. So you can see this fish right behind me is actually getting little scrapings from its scales on the side. So we can take those under a microscope and look for parasites. Another really common thing we see is face rot. We can actually see that on blue pallet tanks pretty frequently. That is a normal, pretty frequent thing we see in an aquarium setting, and that is this you see right here. See the discoloration? Yeah, so you can see our fish is being treated here on our surgical table with this Q-tip for that face rot that we have here. And again, there's that hose. Everyone see that small hose in its mouth? So it's pushing in and over its gills. So that fish is still breathing while it is out of the water. So those are just a couple examples of things that we might have to do with our animals. But I want us to think for a moment. We already talked about one difference between, say, your cat or dog at home and our animals is that they live in water. Well, that also makes it difficult for transportation. Yeah, so, and also some of our animals are really, really big. So we have other things to kind of look at as well to help maintain their health and safety. And so we can actually perform little small physicals, not all the blood work and everything like that, but checkups nonetheless, just looking from head to toe and looking in their mouth every single day for some of our animals. So let's take, for example, our seals and our sea lions. Our seals and our sea lions are trained to participate in their own behavior or in their own healthcare, different behaviors. Oh, Lillian wanted to see the otters get their teeth brushed. Okay, Lillian, we will try to find that. Thank you for reminding us. We will do our best. But you know who else gets their teeth brushed? The seals and sea lions. Yes, we brush their teeth every single day. Well, I said sea lions too. Just our seals. Just our seals. They get their teeth brushed every single day. And that's just part of that care to kind of make sure that they're safe every single day. So we can actually bring their toothbrush right up to their exhibit during feeding time. We don't always have to take the animal down to the Molina Animal Care Center. Or, for example, our biggest sea lion, he can get to 800 pounds. Now, do you think 800 pounds is easy or hard to move? It's pretty difficult. There is a lot of work involved, a lot of equipment, and there is a lot of people involved as well. And just like it could be stressful for your animal going to the vet, it could be stressful for them as too. They don't really know what's going on. So we can actually have our veterinarian, if we're concerned about something, come on up to the exhibit to check out our animal just to make sure that they are nice and safe, or even diagnose them there on the spot. If they don't have to be taken down to the Molina Animal Care Center, then we do try to avoid it for some of our larger animals. Oh, here we go. Here's one of our brushing our teeth of our seals. So you can see our seals there. They do have their teeth brushed every single day. Believe it or not, they're actually trained to use electric toothbrushes. Yeah, so they might use the same toothbrush as us. But that's just one way we can kind of bring the healthcare to them instead of taking them down. But for our larger animals, if we do need to take them down, again, can be a little stressful, not only for us, but for them as well. We do crate our animals, which means just like you might do at home with your dog, you have them enter a crate and you can shut the door to transport them. Well, we can do that as well because we don't want our animals kind of running all over the place. It is for their safety as well. So we do have really, really big crates for, say, animals like our 800-pound sea lion. And they are a little sturdier than the ones you have for your dog at home. But we can actually train all year for our animals to go into their crate. So it becomes a normal thing. We don't necessarily move them anywhere, but they know, hey, I can go into this crate and I'm going to be okay. We give them lots of fish, lots of reward for going in there, and they know, hey, nothing bad's going to happen to me. So that way, if they aren't feeling well and we do need to move them, there's not the struggle of trying to force an animal into anything. It's a nice way to move them. We can train them to go on in. So we work on things like that all year. But thank you so much for joining us here today. Again, we talked a little bit about animal health care. We did get to see our seal's teeth there just a moment ago for Lillian. But hopefully we'll see you back to talk a little bit more next week about some of our animals. We have lots of topics for our Aquarium Online Academy next week. So I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend. Thank you for joining us and hope to see you soon.